G'day everyone. Welcome back to the Toon podcast, Southern Hemisphere's biggest and best podcast. All things Newcastle United. We are here to talk all things Newcastle, your Carabao Cup winners. A 4-1 victory overnight against Manchester United. The first time we've done the double against them since 1930-31 season. And I'm joined by another great double, Dimi and Jack. How are you both this evening, guys?
Smooth, Keeg, smooth.
It was, wasn't it? I was working on it all day, actually.
Just like my head. Yeah, very, very nice.
Dimi, just like your head too.
We're not talking about. I wasn't going to continue that conversation, but no. Look, we're not going to take for granted wins against that team because they've given us a lot of misery over it many years. So to do the double and to do it in a canter, yeah, sensational.
It was in a canter. 1:30 a.m. kickoff. I'd had a bit of a big Saturday night and still probably wasn't ready for it, but having an RDO today for work meant I could get up and consume it in my own time, which is another fabulous thing we get to do in Australia. Dimi, I know you're a sicko and you got up at 12:30 on the school night. Jack, were you a 1:30 operator or were you in the morning?
No, I watched it live this time. I knew that I was going to probably wake up. My body would wake me up around that time anyway, so I didn't set an alarm, but I woke up at 1:25. I thought there's no way I'm. So I was at work today, but it wasn't too busy a day. So yeah, it's that time of the season when I want to watch them. Like it's getting exciting, and there's no point in sitting there tossing and turning when you can just watch the game. So that's what I did, and yeah, when it's a good result as well, you don't feel quite as tired. So, and I thought it was going to be a good result.
Yes, well, I think we all thought that going into the game, and we did kind of speak amongst ourselves whether they would change a thing because the Premier League thing's done now. They're in the no man's land, but their whole focus is on the Lyon second leg. This Thursday morning, I think, our time. So, we went in unchanged, which was no surprise. It's good to see Anthony Gordon back on the bench too. Wasn't surprised he didn't start, given not so much that Barnes' form. I just think the injury seemed to be a bit more serious than I think we all thought. So he was probably going to be a little bit underdone. So I wasn't surprised that he didn't start, Jack.
Yeah, and he's going to have to fight his way back in as well, And
he is Barnes now,
yeah, he is now. But even before today, Barnes was putting up some good numbers. He got a goal against Leicester, got a couple of assists. Gordon, he's only got himself to blame. He got himself sent off. And I listened back to that podcast we did, Dimi, just to see how we felt after that Brighton game. And it's only about 6 weeks ago, but we were not happy that day. So how things can change, but. Good to see Gordon back on the bench. I don't think it's any coincidence that we've gone on this run when we've had a settled team, and also I probably don't think it's a coincidence that the players are staying fit this season. We've got a performance director in who's looking after them.
I didn't send you the rundown, but I have got James Bunce on this rundown because I think he is not getting spoken about enough this season.
Well, when you've got the same team playing 5 games in a row and winning them all, including a cup final, something's going right. The players look fitter and sharper than they ever have, really. And again, Dimi, I was going back to that after the Brighton game, and we said they looked lethargic, they looked tired. Yeah. Something's just clicked after that, and maybe it's the work coming into this part of the season. Everyone else is looking a bit tired, and we seem to be finding another gear, and even winning games without even needing to find another gear. So, yeah, I think Bunce has got, give him his flowers. I think he's definitely having an impact.
Joe Willock as well, still in concussion protocols. I'm not sure. I did try and find this out today, and I couldn't. And I think we've spoken about this before. I still couldn't find any sort of return to play guidelines for the Premier League as to how long they're in protocols. Like, nearly every other major sport, it's pretty easy to find that what the guidelines are with concussion and things like that. And I can't find anything. I found a document from the FA from 3 or 4 years ago, maybe, that mentioned it was a 21-day protocol, but I wasn't sure if that was for the whole country. Like, I know in our local footy, we've got a 21-day concussion protocol as well, which is effectively you miss 2 matches. I know the AFL are they a 12-day Dimi, I think,
Yeah.
are they? Yeah. But the caveat to that is they have full-time doctors monitoring the players every day, so it's a little bit different to your local level. So he's still out. Hopefully he can make the bench and be back for the Palace game as well. But yeah, we'll get stuck in a bunch now just while we're on him. And even like you said, the fitness levels and the performances and stuff like that. But I just think the consistency of the amount of players that we've had play every game, it's no surprise that since this guy's come in, and he was probably under a little bit of pressure, Dimi, wasn't he? Like, given our injury record last year, he's been phenomenal for what he's done this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there was some murmurings that the way Eddie trains us, and obviously the high intensity expectations during the games and in training, that may not be good for us, and it may not. I mean, we saw last year, whether it was the Champions League, whether it was bad luck, whatever it was, that didn't work. But clearly something has changed in training this year, because players aren't breaking down. Touch wood, still 7 games to go, but players aren't breaking down every second week, and not just they're not breaking down, but they seem to be running out games really well. I mean, Tonali this morning, 93rd, 94th minute, he went on this ridiculous sprint to the corner flag for no reason. We're 4-1 up. I would have thought, mate, call your jets. What are you doing? But he was just sprinting like I've never seen someone sprint, and that was a 94th minute in a 4-1 game. So.
And people were questioning his fitness at the start of the season as well, and
exactly.
and things like that. Rightly so. Like, he missed a lot of time, and you can do all the running you want, but that it can't replicate match-like intensity and the different running patterns and sort of running levels you're at. The fact that how he is now is nuts.
Yeah, Sandro, he's an absolute machine. I mean, one of my good mates is a Milan fan, Italian lad, and he raves about him. He's still devastated that he's left, and he thought we were going to get an absolute superstar player. And obviously we didn't see it much last year because of the unfortunate suspension and his gambling issues. But, I mean, we've seen it this year in spades. He may have started a little bit slow, and there was talk whether Bruno and him can play in the same midfield, but that's quickly put to bed. And I think there's no doubt now that we've probably got the best midfield in the Premier League, and not just the Premier League. The way these three are playing at the moment, we're definitely one of the most informed midfields across Europe, let alone Premier League.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jack, like, I was thinking about it today, and I got caught up to another thing, so I didn't get to actually dive into it properly. But off the top of my head, there hasn't been that many soft tissue injuries. The injuries we have had have been a bit more serious than a calf or a hammy or a quad or a groin and things like that. I think Wilson's, was that a pec? Or was that last year? I can't remember. But he's had, he's had a couple of one, but like, that's par for the course for him. I think Target was a bit more carryover from last year. Lascelles' is knee, Botman is a knee, Hall's was an ankle, but Paul's wasn't a soft tissue as well. Pope's shoulder, like that, like it hasn't really been many soft tissue injuries, which is just another sort of ribbon in the bow, isn't it? That he's been really good for us.
Yeah, definitely. But don't forget, last season the fixtures we had were absolutely obscene as well, because we got the hardest possible cup draw in pretty much every competition. So there was no chance to sort of let up at all. And then in December, it all just went wrong. But even Joe Linton was out as well up until the Brighton game, and that was his first game back as well. So that's obviously made a big difference. He had an injury as well. But this season, we've kind of missed people here and there a little bit, rather than missing big chunks for anyone, except for Wilson. Barnes had a little bit of timeout. Gordon's had this injury from international duty. So maybe them missing the odd games has helped in a way, because it's helped keep them a bit fresher. And that's potentially what's happened as well. Probably Lewis Hall is one of the worst injuries. So he'll miss the season. But also we've been without Botman for the whole season as well, pretty much. So, when you think really like what we've done, and, what we've done with this squad that hasn't been strengthened. In fact, it's been weakened from last summer when we lost Anderson and Minte. But then even in January, the squad was weakened as well with Miggy and Kelly to be in the position we're in. I think going back to the fitness thing, something's working better than it was last season. We've had less fixtures, but we've been able to cruise through some games as well. And maybe that's that it hasn't been such sort of blood and thunder football all the time, the intensity. And we missed that earlier in the season in some games, definitely. We were wondering where it was, but maybe this is part of the plan, maybe it was to be a bit more sustainable. And you've got to think it is part of the plan because they're clever people and they plan things out. And that's the whole reason why they've brought Bunce in, who Paul Mitchell obviously worked with before. So nothing happens by accident at a well-run football club. And the fitness seems to be part of that this season. And we're definitely reaping the benefits now.
Yeah. So a great segue there, Jack. So when you talk about like the blood and thunder and our helter-skelter way we played last year and probably the year before as well with our pressing and aggressiveness and things like that, I still think it's there. It's just a little bit more methodical way to do it rather than just on turbo for 90 minutes or as long as we need to get in front and then do the damage early. Like all our goals today were front half turnovers that we put on. And really, there wasn't much gung-ho, let's go mad. If they want a quick game, let's fucking give it to them. All that. There was not really any of that. It was just a really tactical way to go about it where we'd sort of press up on them and shut down their options rather than just attack the bloke with the ball at 100 miles an hour and try and get him to make a mistake. We just sort of looked like it were going sort of man for man, very similar to what we did against Liverpool in the cup final. And happy to sort of half possession. I think it was around 50 each. But just when we got it, we really shut down their outlets. And given the way that I think they want to play, they don't know any other way because it seems like Ruben Amorim is so sort of pig-headed in his approach to this is the way we're playing and I'm not changing for anyone and things like that. And I think we kind of prey on that a little bit and we're really, really smart with how we attack the game.
Yeah, we were. And it helped when Manchester United can't string a pass together, like that.
Yes. But that's the thing that I think the outlets, we'd shut the outlets down and that's what kind of put them on the back foot because they didn't want to hoof it long and give it back to us. They were still trying to play their way through and they just couldn't because there was no one there.
They're not good enough to do that, and they haven't got confidence. They've probably got one good player which is Fernandes. So, and I did wonder if he might be rested because there's no way they would have got anything with him, but definitely wouldn't without him. But they were a bit threatening on the counter attack sometimes, and we let them in a couple of times, but we've dealt with everything they had apart from the goal pretty well. But yeah, like we pressed high at the right times. We won the ball back. And then it was a bit like that Brentford game from a couple of seasons ago where we just kept making them make mistakes and usually it was Miggy that was he was the trigger for that press a lot of the time, but we definitely are doing it in a more, it seems to be in a more, in a less gung-ho way, like you said. It's a bit more.
It's more strategic rather than just a turbo. Yeah,
and it probably helps when you've got those three midfielders in there, and it's the benefit of having a settled team where everybody knows what it's supposed to be doing and when, and it doesn't even matter that the manager's not there. Like that, it's so well drilled into them that all of the coaches that they just know what to do. And yeah, I remember when beating Man United used to be a big event, but it happens twice this season now. Sometimes 3 times this season.
3 times, really.
It's fine.
So Dimi as well. Just on that, I think. And I'm only sort of referencing this from an AFL point of view, but I think it does translate to soccer as well. That the way that we are pressing, and I'm going to sound like an absolute tactical wanker here at the moment, but it's like so as an AFL player, you're taught to not run at someone front on because they can kind of go either way, and you kind of pick a shoulder and then they'll obviously go the other way, and then you kind of set a little trap for them and run them into danger, which is kind of look like what we do, where the big dog up front sort of comes from a different angle, so they pass it one way, and then that's when it's like the whole net just collapses in on that because that's the way we've set it up, and it's strategic, and that's why I think it's working really well, and we kind of just let him have the ball at the start. And then we kind of shut down all their options. And then he's like, all right, let's go. I'm going to pull the trigger on this. I'll attack his left shoulder so he goes right. And then we'll all collapse in and we'll turn the ball over and things like that. Is that kind of how you were seeing things happen as well?
Yeah, I definitely think our pressing these days is a lot more strategic. You can't just be attacking and sprinting at somebody and thinking you're going to win the ball back because
Unless you're
they'll
Joel
just
Linton all the time.
yeah, and then you fail him and get 15 yellow cards a season.
Yeah.
But no, there's definitely a nuance to it, and like you said with the footy reference, yeah, you're exactly right. But I mean, with the pressing as well, you want to try and set traps, and we did that for one of I think it was the third goal or maybe the fourth goal, I lost track, but we definitely set traps for them, and it's not the first time we've done this. I think we did against Ipswich a few times, and we've done it consistently throughout the season where the way we've pressed and the way we've angled our man marking, so to speak, is to a point where we want to funnel them into one section of the pitch, and then we press, and that is definitely a step up for where we've been. And obviously, before we were high intensity, we were just getting in your faces and people were shitting themselves. But now we're a lot more nuanced, and I think definitely that is a good evolution of our team, and it saves legs too. I mean, no one wants to be sprinting around pressing for 90 minutes. You got to do it in a smart way, and definitely we found that perfect balance.
Yeah. So the start of the game, like you said earlier, Jack, that they didn't offer much. They got through us a couple of times. That first chance they had, was maybe in the first 10 or 12 minutes, I think it was, where Xerxes played like these 4 one-touches and just went bang, bang, bang. Like that was electric. Like, oh my God, like that's incredible. And then they went to dog shit pretty much straight after that, except for that chance. The other chance they had pretty much was the goal where Dallo just charged at our defenders and then sort of opened it up for Garnacho to come through. But were you ever sort of in, oh shit, when it was 1-1 and you're like, oh, hang on, are we offered here, or are you always confident we were going to get enough to just win the game?
I thought that when they scored, it was a little bit against the run of play anyway. I want to just give some big ups to Nick Pope as well, because that save from Xerxes was a good save, and it was a bit like his cup final save.
It was very similar to the cup final.
They're the kind of saves that Dubravka doesn't make. And again, I was listening back to the Brighton podcast. We were both saying we need to keep Dubravka in goal because he kept on flipping between them both. But Pope's his distribution's not good, but we know that anyway. But yeah, he was that save was really, really excellent save. But yeah, no, I always felt confident that we would create chances, and it might have become one of those games that got frustrating, where we started getting frustrated and where it reached the 60-minute mark and we hadn't scored again. And then that's when things can turn a bit, as it has against some of the mid-table teams at St. James's Park this season. But yeah, when they scored, I felt it was against the run of play. I always thought we were going to create more chances. And it's just good that we did it quickly after half-time, because that got us right back in the frame already. And I think once we scored the second, there was only really going to be one winner, and especially the third, that was pretty much game over. And then it was nice to be able to conserve some energy again.
Yes, that first goal, Dimi, with Tonali, still not sure why no one tried to sort of challenge Isaac when that ball bobbed up and try and get a head in. The defender, you kind of see, like, he looks like he's going to go for it, and then he stops and retreats, and you go, oh, mate, what are you doing? And then the next thing you know, Tonali's put his foot through another one. You're a bit younger than us, mate, so you might have a different answer to Jack and I, but where does Tonali rank in the best midfielders that you've seen in your time on this earth at Newcastle United?
His stay's still not been that long for us. I don't think he's ahead of Bruno, and Bruno's done it for us for 3.5 seasons, but there's no doubt his trajectory is on the way up, and I think when all is said and done, he'll comfortably, in my opinion, be probably a top 5 midfielder Premier League era or the last 30, 40 years for Newcastle. He's that good. I mean, you don't captain AC Milan for no reason. You don't play semi-final Champions League football. You don't play every window for Italy starting player if you're a mug. And he's obviously no mug. He's a quality player, but I'm just glad he's starting to show that he can score goals as well, because he's got an absolute rocket in that foot. He scored free kicks for Milan in the past. He was their set piece taker. We haven't really used him in that role here, but anytime he gets near the box now, you can just see his confidence is building, and he can feel like he can do damage. And that was a great run by him, and his finish was sublime. And it's great that we've got goals coming from all over the pitch again. It's not just a one-man team. It's not just Isaac scoring goals. And I mean, Isaac did well to set up the goal. It was a beautiful little through ball, but we've got goals coming from everywhere at the moment, which is makes us almost impossible to stop.
It does, and the fact we scored 4 without Isaac getting on the score sheet, I think, is a really, really positive.
And 3 the other night too, so 7 in a row without Isaac.
Yeah, which is no good for your fantasy team, but for us as general play, it's really good. Jack, how about you? Would Tonali be at least on the podium in your lifetime?
Yeah, he's better than Cabaye, and Cabaye was the best midfielder in that Pardew team. He's better than Gary Speed probably and Rob Lee, stalwarts of Bobby's team. I think in terms of quality, Tonali looks like he could play for Real Madrid. He looks like he's a world-class footballer. He's never flustered ever. Like, even when things are going badly, he's always calm. He's always controlled. He's composed. He 99% of the time makes the right decision, and he's always trying difficult things as well. Usually he pulls them off. It's hard to. I think our whole season has flipped when him and Bruno sorted out who was doing what in the midfield.
Figured it out.
And they figured it out, and the tactics and the team performance has just got better and better since then. But he's one of those players that it's kind of hard to believe he plays for Newcastle because he's that good. And his stamina, like I said, that run at the end, but he runs all day, and he's got everything that you need in a modern midfielder. And I think, he's a Champions League winning quality midfielder, really. Like, it's a joy to have him at the club, and hopefully we keep him for a long time. I think he seems to feel happy there as well. And, I think he maybe still feels he owes the fans and the club something for the way that they looked after him. And, that's Eddie Howe's management as well, how he was looked after. But he's just an absolute. And that goal today, like, that's not an easy finish.
I was going to say, he made that look a lot
arrow
easier.
Volleyed it into the bottom corner. That's very easy to miss that completely. And it was just so precise, bottom corner. And he scores big goals at big moments. I still don't know how he did that one against Brentford. He's an amazing player, and it's an absolute pleasure to watch him play football for Newcastle every week, every minute of every game at the moment.
Yeah, he does everything. Like, he can pass, he can tackle, he can fill in holes. His shot is as hard as anyone I can remember since Lauren Robert played for us. Like, he can absolutely smoke him. And there was a time in the first half where they were just backing off, and like, what are you doing? Like, haven't you seen this footage? Like, and he just missed that as well. But he's just so good, and he just complements Bruno so well with what they do. And like you said, he's always trying, and he always makes the right decision. Now, the pass sometimes might not get through, but it's not a risky pass. It's still, look, if it turns over, we can still defend it and things like that. And he's just so good. It's like you said, it's an absolute joy to watch him. And someone else, Dimi, who's been a bit joyous to watch, and probably, and I've said this before, he probably hasn't realised his impact until this season. But Jacob Murphy, another assist, the first player to score 10 outfield assists since Lauren Robert in I think it was 01-02. He's remarkable, and we said, like, I think at the start of the year when the club put out that highlights thing, and we said, my God, Jacob Murphy's popping up a lot, and you don't realise it at the time, but I think now everyone's starting to realise, hey, he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous, the assist thing, but I just think it shows his directness and his willingness to put a cross in. I mean, something as simple as put a ball in an area, you'd be surprised how many times that will lead to a goal. And he's the player that probably doesn't have the skill. He does have a lot of pace, but he doesn't have many tricks to his game than probably a lot of right wingers do in the Premier League. But he knows what he's good at, and his final ball is sensational. Especially his first time crossing is brilliant. But that quality to know that you're going to put a ball in an area, and for wingers and midfielders and our strikers to come through and be in those positions, they know Murphy's going to put the ball in that area. And sometimes you've got a winger out there who dribbles 10 times and never puts a cross in, so you don't know when you're going to make your run. But if you play with Murphy, if you get in the right position, 8 times out of 10, he's going to find you and he'll get you an assist. Now him and Isaac have got that great partnership. Now he set up a beautiful goal this morning for Barnes. I mean, it's sensational. There's going to be still the same talk over the summer that do we need to upgrade the right wing, and that's all fair talk. But I mean, you can't do much more, Murph. If his name was Jacob Murphinho or something,
why can't it be?
He definitely would be. Yeah, Percino. He definitely would be commanding probably a little bit more respect outside of Newcastle than he is.
Yeah, I get that, but I still think we do need to really target a right winger. I mean, he's 30 at the moment, so he's not getting any younger. So I do think we need to probably target someone. But we can have the same on the right as what we do on the left with Barnes and Gordon, and have Murphy and another quality right winger fighting for that spot. And he's just another player that Eddie Howe's ran his magic wand over and improved out of sight. And it's not a one-season wonder like Miggy has been. Like last year, he was pretty consistent as well with his performances and when he was in the team. So he's transformed. It's not a flash in the pan. It's transformed, and it's just amazing for him. Yeah, and we've touched on Harvey Barnes already, but 2 goals, confidence is absolutely sky high, and we're all hoping he was going to grab his chance with Gordon suspended, and I think there's no doubt, Jack, that he's grabbed that now.
He really has, and he's come in for some criticism and questioning about his signing, and it was understandable earlier in the season when you've got Gordon who's been so good, but as we've said many times, Gordon wasn't even a left winger when we signed Barnes, and he was the St. Maximin replacement. And somebody who's got that output in terms of assists and goals is they're priceless in the Premier League. Like, it's not easy to score goals and get assists in the Premier League, and he consistently does that, even when he's not playing well. And he's not the best defensive. Like, his all-around game isn't as good as Gordon, but what he does well when he's confident, he does extremely well. And he's won us quite a lot of points. He's scored a lot of important goals for us. And the second goal today just showed his confidence. Like, he had Isak there to pass to if he'd have wanted to, and most players would have done that because Isak wanted a goal as well. But he just drove into the middle, took the touch, and it was just perfect, and it sat up for him, and he's just put
emphatic.
It in the top corner. Yeah, it was just it's no surprise from Harvey Barnes that this is what he does.
Yeah.
And there was comments when we signed him that, he'll score goals and get assists, but he won't do anything else. Well, I don't know. Scoring goals and getting assists is quite a good thing to be able to do.
That's what we wanted our attackers. We're not getting him to save shots or anything like that.
So, and all you can ask for someone stepping in is for them to take the chance, and that's what he's done. And it's absolutely no coincidence that when he's had a run in the team and the team's been settled, that he's got some confidence and he started playing well. And this is why we need a squad for this kind of situation. Like, nobody's going to be saying that we should sell Harvey Barnes now. You never know who's going to get injured when. You never know who you might need when. We've got some form of Europe next season anyway, so he's going to get plenty of game time. He's a good age. He's coming into his prime. Thomas Tuchel was there, and you'll have had a look at both of the wingers and been impressed by bits of what they did. They're both limited in ways, but they're both, they've got good output, and like I said, that's what you want. And Barnes has done really well. Yeah, really, really impressed lately.
Could Jacob Murphy get a call up, or is that a bit pie in the sky?
Well, Dan Burn got one, so
yeah. So that's true.
The thing is,
I think they've got a lot more attacking players.
Yeah, England have got like an embarrassment of riches, but Thomas Tuchel's there to try and win the World Cup in the short term, so he doesn't care if someone's 30 or 31 if they're in the prime now.
Yeah,
and if they're playing well, he's going to.
If they can do what he needs right now, that's it.
If you've got numbers like Murphy over, like you said, Keegan, over 18 months, really, it's not a flash in the pan. Then you've got to be under consideration. And if you can score goals from pretty much any situation like Barnes can, then he's got to be a consideration. So let's see what happens in the next England squad.
Yeah, and like he could be, and we said last year especially, he's that guy off the bench who just is that impact sub who can find the net. Now he's started and done really well, but could he be that sort of last or second last player in the squad? But hey, if we're getting to the 80-minute mark and we need a goal, why not bring this guy on? Like, this is what he does. He's proven that in the Premier League that he can do that. So maybe there might be a spot for him to do a role like that. Just before we wrap up, where that game took us to fourth, we've got our game in hand against Crystal Palace on Thursday morning. So we'll see how that goes. We're 1 point behind Forest in third with a better goal difference as well. Probably more importantly, though, we're 2 points ahead of Chelsea, who are in fifth, which is probably, for me, I'm not really bothered where we finish in the top 5 as long as we're in there. So not too worried about if we get to third and we pass Forest, as long as we stay clear of whoever's in fifth. Now, Chelsea 6th, Villa 7th. So we just might play a little game here in the run home, and we have got a pretty hard run home. There's no doubt about that. 4 of our 7 games are against top 9 teams. So it's not easy, but the good thing is our fate is in our own hands. And if we make the Champions League or we don't make the Champions League, it's going to be decided on what we do. We're not going to be relying on other people. We might have to, but that's because of our failings, not because of anything else. So might just do a quick little points predictor for the rest of the season, and we'll see what we come up with. All right, so we've got Palace at home Thursday. Dimi, result.
Win.
All right, 3, Jack.
Yeah, win as well.
Win. All righty. After that, we've got Villa away. Jack.
Lose.
0. Dimi.
Draw.
I knew you would say that. Ipswich at home.
Win.
Brighton away.
Fucking Brighton. We always lose, but I'm gonna say draw this time.
Dimi.
Win. Law of averages. We can't keep losing to these pricks.
Chelsea at home, which could be a very important game. Jimmy?
Win, and I think we're going to win comfortably. I think we're going to absolutely pants them.
Jack?
Chelsea have been absolutely diabolical since Christmas, so I think that'll be a win. We beat them 3-4-0, didn't we, last season? So I think that could be on the cards again. And that could actually seal it. That one could seal it.
Home. Yeah. That could be a good old-fashioned Champions League 6-pointer, that one. Arsenal away.
Loss.
Jack?
Yeah, I'll say loss, even though
we'll be home and hosed by then.
Yeah.
So who cares?
That could be for second. And we finish off with Everton at home.
Win.
Jack?
Yeah, win.
All right, Jack, we've got another 13 points from you. And another 16 points from Dimi. Let me just quickly run the table here. This is great podcast.
Great,
just chat among ourselves for a second.
It's as if one of us should be an accountant to just count all this up really quickly.
Yes. So, Jack, you'll get us to 69 if you're correct, which I think is easily more points than any other. I think it was the 5 seasons that there definitely wasn't a 69 that got you in the Champions League. I think 67 might have been the highest tally that finished 5th. So
66 usually you get to in 5th. Yeah. 66, yeah.
But yeah, Dimi, we're in the 70s now, so we could actually win the title if you're correct. Liverpool, they've kind of, I think PSG stunned them a bit. I think it's really put a bit of a dent in there. They haven't been very good since they got knocked out of the Champions League, which you think they should be all right now with one game away. Maybe we knocked the stuffing out of them as well, knocked their confidence out. But yeah, they're definitely not the same team as what they were. We
got 71 points in 22-23. So if Dimi's correct, 15 more points, that's what we'll end up on. And that
was 4th, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was 4th that season.
Yeah.
Third.
Yeah.
I think if we beat Palace, then we'll be 5 points ahead of Villa by the time we play them. So it wouldn't make that a free hit, but it would take some of the pressure off that one. And then if we get any kind of result against them, I think that would be in a really, really, really strong position, because we've got Ipswich next, and then they've got Man City, so they're going to take points off each other.
Yeah.
So we've hit form at the right time. We've just won the last 4 league games, and we did this earlier in the season as well. So we said all a long time ago, whoever can find some consistency is going to have a good chance, and we've done it twice now. So Palace will not be an easy game. They're a good team, but having said that, they only drew at Southampton, and then they got pretty much hammered in the end by Man City as well. So these 2 games are huge. If we can win them both, I think we're pretty much there. If we can win one and draw one, I think we're pretty much, we're in a very strong position.
Yeah.
But it's that time of the season when we're looking at results and seeing what other teams are doing. And it's going well for us at the moment, but things can turn very quick. Yeah.
Which is, well, I didn't like doing it when we were at the bottom of the table, and it's definitely not. It's just as bad when you're at the top. Too. Like, there's no, and then you don't want to be in the sort of no man's land of we're not good, but we're not shit.
Well, the stress 2 years ago of Liverpool chasing us down, that was so stressful. They won about 40 games in a row.
That Liverpool-Villa game. It was Liverpool versus Villa. Yeah.
Villa drew with Liverpool, and then that meant that we just had to
get a point with Leicester.
Draw with Leicester, which we
0-0 just.
Yeah, man, Pope made that save in injury time.
93rd minute.
So bloody Aussie Harry was best on ground.
Big suitor.
Bloody giant. And he was doing, mate, can you just be shit for one game, please?
But we've had that experience now, we've been through that, and we know what it feels like. And we haven't got the whole, it's the Champions League hasn't got the same kind of mystical status this time, because we've been there before. So recently. So I think that we're in a strong position. And like everything we've said about the players' fitness, the confidence, if we can just get these 2 games, if we can win these next 2, we'll be in a really, really strong position.
Yes. And
we'll know soon. We'll know
in a week. Also, it'd probably help a lot if we got our manager back. Now, I'm not sure if he will make it. Dimi being in hospital on a Sunday probably doesn't bode well to be at full health by Thursday to manage a team. Still, details are a bit sketchy and in typical Eddie Howe fashion, that every injury's bloody kept under a cloud of darkness, and you'll never actually know what's wrong with him. So, but hopefully, it's serious enough to put him in hospital for a couple of days. So it can't be too good, but hopefully he's in a position where he can sort of help out in some capacity.
I'm sure he was on the phone or doing something to someone in the back room during the game. Hopefully who was healthy enough to interact during the game. But I just want to say how serious looking Jason Tindall was on the touchline. I've never seen.
I didn't like that at all. Yeah, he didn't have.
He looked a completely different person. I'm thinking, what is this bloke doing? He wasn't smiling. He was barely talking. He looked very, very serious. So hopefully, if Tindall's on the touchline as the main man again on Wednesday night, he can just loosen up a bit.
He might need Jonesy just to so he can start spraying the ref and the other opposition coaches and stuff like that. Because I was thinking that when they sort of said that he wasn't going to make the game, I'm like, well, how's this going to work? Is he going to try and coach and abuse at the same time? Because Eddie's got him so he can focus on the coaching, and Tindall can do the stuff with the official and wind up the other bench. But I'm like, is he going to do it all? Or what? Is he just going to not worry about the coaching and just continue spraying blokes for 90 minutes from the other team? And I was really interested to see which way he was going to go with it. And he just went like the complete opposite of what he's been doing the whole time.
He probably knows that he's needed on Wednesday, so to not do anything.
He couldn't do anything stupid.
Yeah. It's like, it would be a bit like the League Cup final 2 years ago when the main goalkeeper, the main man's out injured, and then the reserve gets does something as well. And then we'd have Graham Jones or someone like that in the end. He actually did all right, Jones, when he was there before Eddie came. But
he's a good man. He's a good man, Graham Jones. Very good man. Him and the I don't even know what his name is or what he does. The chicken guy. He's always on the videos doing the chicken wings after they win. Might be him and Jonesy on for Crystal Palace. Jonesy and the Chicken Man. Sounds like a Broadway show you could go and see, or a stand-up comedy duo like Hale Pace or someone like that. But all right, we've rambled on enough. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining tonight. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. We'll be back probably Thursday night, I think, for a review of the Crystal Palace game. Hopefully we can get maximum points and sort of put a bit of a distance on ourselves and cement ourselves in the top 5. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're top 3 or 2. As long as we're in the top 5 and we get that Champions League spot and celebrate what's going to be the most successful season probably in the club's history. So hopefully it's another happy podcast Thursday night. So Jack, thanks for joining us, mate.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Dimi, thank you.
Cheers, gigs.
We'll see you Saturday. Thanks, everyone. See you later.